In early times, dead members would be abandoned in bushes or on hilltops. But was it an abandonment? It was a taboo to stay in the place where a person died, but walking away did not mean we abandoned them. At a certain interval, we used to come back and slaughter an animal at the spot to indicate that our beloved kin died here and we can't forget about them. However, the customs changed with the advent of homesteads, but still observed under some strict norms to date. In those days, we had not established settlements like we do today. So in case a family member died, he or she would be dragged onto a hilltop, then the remaining members relocated. But still we came back to pour libation to the deceased and slaughter a goat, eat the burnt meat and leave behind tripe and bones for the departed members. Then we held that even though the bones and tripe were eaten up by the hyena was also celebrating the death of our brother. However, after the introduction of burial, a boy is buried in front of a house. But behind the house, it is a girl who is not married or even she married but divorced and returned home. A married woman will be buried in front of the house to await her husband, who also, after his death, he will be buried next to his wife. A child could never be buried beside his parents. Similarly, in the house, he or she cannot sleep in the same room with its parents. So, burial site is like a room. That's why they were buried apart. Like any other African community, the Bukusu believed and still believe in life after death, as evidenced by the pouring of libation to the dead and naming after them. It was a taboo to stay in the place where a person died, but walking away did not mean we abandoned them. At a certain interval, we used to come back and slaughter an animal at the spot to indicate that our beloved kin died here and we can't forget about them. Without the ceremonies, you cannot name the child after them. We did not just name after every Tom, Dick and Harry. We named after a well-behaved person who sired children and one held in high regard, or else that child will die. If you do not name a person whom you loved, his or her spirit will appear to you and say, "See, you have abandoned me in the bush, you have never called me in your children." That is why we name after the people we love. When you name after the person to whom you have poured libation. When your father dies, try and offer him something, at the back of your mind knowing that you are honoring your father. When you afterwards name after him, the child survives. But if you name just anyhow, you will regret. That's why it really weighed heavily on a Bukusu child's conscience. How am I going to name after my kin, my father, my aunt? I must offer them something. The offering shows the person is valuable to you. Therefore, my Bukusu brothers, wherever you are, do not abandon your people. Eventually, the children you name after them becoming sickly, crying incessantly, they become emaciated. You mention the name to them, tomorrow they wake up in hospital. All this because you did not respect the people when they were alive.